In the last few years, things in Sweden have taken a really unexpected, not so good turn. It's like Sweden, which everyone used to think of as a super safe place, is now facing a big problem with violence. The Prime Minister, Ulf Kristersson, even said it's a situation they have never seen before, something unprecedented. Sweden used to be known for having one of the lowest rates of shooting deaths in all of Europe, but now it's the complete opposite. The number of shootings and violent attacks has shot up, and it has become a real crisis. When we say gang violence, we mean groups of people causing a lot of trouble. They're involved in all sorts of illegal activities, and it's making life really tough for everyone. Living in a place where there's a constant threat of violence, and it's not just a one-time thing. That's what many people in Sweden are going through right now. It's scary, and it's not how things used to be. Let's rewind a bit to 2003, when things in Sweden were pretty peaceful. The number of people getting shot was one of the lowest in Europe. Fast forward to 2021, and it's like a whole different story. The rate of shooting deaths in Sweden skyrocketed, reaching twice the average for the rest of Europe. In 2022 alone, a staggering 62 people lost their lives to gun violence in Sweden, marking a stark departure from the country's reputation for safety. The alarming escalation in crime continued into September 2023, with a shocking toll of 11 lives lost in a single month due to shootings. This surge in violence is deeply concerning, especially when considering the backdrop of bomb attacks that have plagued Stockholm and its surrounding regions. The statistics further underscore the severity of the situation, with 134 bomb attacks recorded in 2023, a notable increase from the 90 reported incidents in the previous year. Alongside the bombings, shootings remained persistently high, reaching 289 incidents in 2023 and 391 in 2022, in a nation with a population of 10 million. The gravity of the issue hit a tragic milestone when a young man was shot dead near a football pitch in southern Stockholm, prompting a coach to urgently safeguard around 60 children from potential harm. Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson's government has come under scrutiny for its response to this crisis. In a televised address, Kristersson outlined measures to curb the violence, such as increased police resources and enhanced surveillance powers. The situation has become so dire that the possibility of involving the army was raised in response to the alarming number of gang-related deaths in September. Despite these efforts, skepticism persists regarding Kristersson's ability to address the root causes of the issue. The tangible impact of this violence is felt deeply within affected communities, as evidenced by the shocked silence of residents gathered after a bombing in Hässelby. Despite attempts to restore normalcy through cleanup efforts and securing damaged homes, the cycle of violence persists. Another detonation, linked to a gang-related shooting, triggered a large fire, underscoring the ongoing threat to community safety. As the military steps into the fray, the burning question lingers. How did Sweden, once renowned for its peace and safety, find itself in the clutches of such widespread violence and gang chaos? The unraveling puzzle of the nation's descent into this harrowing reality beckons for a deeper understanding of the root causes and the path that led to this unsettling point in time. Let's rewind a bit to the early 2010s, when Sweden found itself grappling with the European migration crisis. Driven by good intentions, the nation extended a warm welcome to a staggering 160,000 refugees in just 1 year. The compassionate aim was to offer a safe haven for those in desperate need, but the rapid influx of people unintentionally gave rise to unforeseen issues. As Sweden went through this change, it became clear that the consequences of such vast and massive immigration were pretty far-reaching. The country wasn't fully prepared, and it led to problems with housing, jobs, and community services for both new folks and those already living there. The pressure on resources meant that finding a place to live became a real challenge. This affected not only the newcomers, but also the people who were already there, making it harder for everyone to find suitable homes. The job market felt the impact too, as more people competed for jobs, putting economic stress on individuals and families. A concerning part of all of this was the rise in criminal activities, especially by organized gangs. The police, used to a different situation, found themselves facing more challenges than before. Criminal elements took advantage of the vulnerabilities created by the fast immigration, making it easier for them to operate illegally. This complicated the already tough job of law enforcement. The unintended consequences of this well-meaning but speedy immigration strategy turned into a breeding ground for societal issues. It affected not just the new arrivals, but also the native population. Social services, initially meant to help everyone settle in, struggled to keep up. Schools, healthcare, and community services found it tough to provide enough support to the growing and changing population. In the past, Swedes were widely supportive of welcoming refugees, embodying a spirit of openness and compassion. However, the landscape has changed, and polls indicate a significant drop in positive sentiments towards immigrants. The numbers tell a story. A 20% decrease in favorability towards newcomers has been recorded, revealing a growing unease among the population. This shift in public sentiment cannot be isolated from the broader context of rising crime, which rightly or wrongly has been associated with immigrants. The constant stream of news stories detailing criminal activities involving individuals with immigrant backgrounds has played a crucial role in shaping perceptions. Acknowledging the complexity of the issue, it's crucial to understand that public opinion is not uniform or one-sided. It reflects diverse perspectives, each with its own set of concerns and considerations. The realization that addressing these challenges requires a thoughtful re-evaluation of immigration policies is gaining traction. The division in public opinion becomes evident as two main camps emerge in the ongoing discourse. It means on one side, there are those advocating for a more cautious approach to immigration, emphasizing the need to prioritize the safety and well-being of the existing population. This group believes that a more stringent evaluation of who enters the country is necessary to ensure a harmonious coexistence. On the other side are those who empathize with the importance of addressing systemic issues that contribute to challenges in integration. They argue that a more comprehensive approach is needed, focusing on factors such as social support, education, and community engagement to create an environment where immigrants can successfully integrate into Swedish society. Confronted with an array of challenges, the Swedish government took decisive action by implementing substantial policy changes. These adjustments, including stricter asylum rules, intensified efforts to curb illegal residence, and the introduction of mandatory language learning for newcomers, marked a departure from Sweden's historical approach to immigration. The intent behind these measures was to strike a delicate balance between extending humanitarian assistance to those in need and addressing the legitimate concerns of the existing population. The imposition of stricter asylum rules is a notable shift from Sweden's previous open-handed approach. While the country has long been celebrated for its hospitality, the changing circumstances necessitated a reconsideration of the criteria for granting asylum. The goal is not to shut the door entirely, but rather to implement a more discerning evaluation process, ensuring that those seeking refuge align with the values and safety considerations of Swedish society. Cracking down on illegal residents represents another facet of the government's response. This measure is designed to reinforce the idea that abiding by the rules is imperative for those residing in Sweden. By taking a firm stance against illegal residency, the government aims to create an environment where everyone, regardless of their background, follows the same set of rules and regulations. mandatory language learning for newcomers emerges as a proactive step in fostering cohesion and understanding within the diverse fabric of Swedish society. Language is a powerful tool for integration, and ensuring that everyone can communicate effectively is a practical approach to breaking down potential barriers. This initiative is not about imposing a single language, but rather about creating a shared means of communication that facilitates mutual understanding. These policy changes signify a struggle within the Swedish government, a delicate balancing act between maintaining the country's cherished reputation for hospitality and addressing the legitimate security concerns of its citizens. The recalibration of immigration policies reflects a commitment to finding a middle ground that ensures the well-being of both newcomers and established residents. In Sweden, there's a noticeable difference between different areas. In some places, life seems pretty usual, with people born in Sweden going about their daily routines without much trouble. However, in other parts, things are tougher. People there are dealing with higher levels of unemployment, and there's more crime happening. It's like there are two sides to Sweden, and this divide is because many people came into the country, and the way they were welcomed wasn't as careful as it should have been. Before, Sweden was known for being a safe and welcoming place, but with the big changes happening, the system stumbled a bit. It's not that the whole system is bad, but it showed some cracks because it wasn't fully prepared for the challenges. The good intentions of helping everyone sometimes clashed with the reality of making sure everyone could live together without too many problems. So what we're seeing now is like two different stories in Sweden. One where things are still peaceful and easy for the folks who were born there, and another where challenges are popping up for those who came in from other places. It doesn't mean one part is good and the other is bad. It's about realizing that there are some hiccups in the way things are working. Now you might be wondering why all of a sudden there's so much violence. Well, that's a tough question, and even the experts are trying to figure it out. Some say it's connected to gangs, groups of people causing a lot of trouble. Others think it's more complex, involving different factors that came together to create this crisis. The government's decision to involve the military is a sign of how serious the situation is. The regular police might not be enough to handle what's going on, so they called in the army. In the midst of all this, the people in Sweden are hoping for things to get better soon. It's not an easy time, and it's definitely not how they're used to living. But with the government and the military working together, there's a collective effort to bring back the peace and safety that Sweden was once known for. The increase in crime in Sweden is like a complex puzzle, with one significant piece being the presence of dangerous gangs. At the forefront of this power struggle are two notorious factions, Foxtrot and Dalen, both vying for control and dominance in the criminal underworld. At the helm of Foxtrot is the infamous Rawa Majid, widely known as the Kurdish Fox. This gang has gained notoriety for its involvement in a spate of fatal bombings and shootings in Stockholm. Despite the recent arrest of Majid in Turkey, Foxtrot continues to wreak havoc in various cities across Sweden. Operating with a ruthless demeanor, Foxtrot is a force to be reckoned with, leaving a trail of violence and fear in its wake. On the opposing side is the Dalen gang, led by Mika the Greek Tenezos. Engaged in a fierce and seemingly never-ending turf war with Foxtrot, Dalen has spread fear across multiple cities in Sweden. The rivalry periodically flares up, sparking violent incidents connected to Foxtrot, even involving teenagers carrying out heinous acts on behalf of the gang leaders. The power struggle between Foxtrot and Dalen has intensified the overall danger in the streets, with innocent lives caught in the crossfire. Foxtrot and Dalen have turned various cities in Sweden into battlegrounds for their ruthless power struggle. The conflict, originally confined to gang territories, has spilled into the lives of innocent citizens, making the streets increasingly perilous. Whether it's Stockholm or other urban areas, the influence of these gangs extends far and wide, leaving communities gripped by fear. But it's not just about gangs. There's also a lot of talk in politics about who is to blame for all of this. Some people in charge, like the Prime Minister, say the previous government didn't do a good job helping new folks fit in. And that's causing some of the problems now. On the other side, Leaders who are not in the government right now, known as opposition leaders, are saying, wait a minute, it's not just about what the government did or didn't do. We need to focus on why young people are joining these gangs in the first place. They're pointing out that some young folks feeling left out or struggling are getting drawn into these gangs. So it's a bit like a back and forth argument. Some say it's about how the country has been handling new folks, and others say it's more about why young people are getting involved with gangs. Everyone is trying to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. But this situation isn't just about politics and power struggles. It's about real people living in Sweden. It's about families who just want to be safe, and kids who should be out playing without worrying about violence. It's a big challenge for the country, and everyone is trying to understand how to make things better. As Sweden grapples with an identity reshaped by crime, the video prompts reflection on whether the nation can reclaim its peaceful reputation. The urgent collaboration between government and military forces signals a collective determination to restore safety and security. The journey ahead poses a critical question. Can Sweden transcend its current reality, defined by crime and violence, and once again become a peaceful place like it used to be?